Hello, everyone. This is John Browning with Guardian Rock Wealth on the Building Your Life podcast. And if you've never joined us before, you know this is unedited, but we have a lot of fun and we talk about how to build your best life, often using the tool we call money, but also we like to have guests on here like we do today. Kate Volman is with us, and she's a best-selling author, and she has a wonderful weekly newsletter that she does as well. But Kate, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because nobody does it better.
Well, John, thank you so much for having me. I am Kate Volman. I am the CEO of Floyd Coaching, where our mission is to help people grow. We work with organizations to build a dynamic culture so people love coming to work and making great things happen. I'm also the author of a book called Do What You Love. I am a fitness enthusiast and I love poetry and writing and all things creativity. I'm also a podcaster. So, like many of your listeners, I'm sure I'm very multi-passionate and have lots of things going on.
Multi-passionate. I like that. That describes me in a nutshell as well. So this could be a fun conversation. So tell me a little bit about first, tell me about your book, which we are going to have the link to your book down below in the show notes so everybody can go out there and get it. But tell me a little bit, why did you decide to write a book? What's it about?
So I had this dream, as many people do, of writing a book. I've dreamt about it for many years and I talked about it a lot. And it's just something that I had in my heart for a really long time. And for any of you, I mean, you know what it's like to write a book. It's
Yes.
not the easiest thing. It takes a lot of time and discipline. And so I finally decided, okay, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to write this book. I think it's a message that needs to be shared with the world. And it's called Do What You Love. And the subtitle is A Guide to Living Your Creative Life Without Leaving Your Job. And I was really inspired to write this book because I feel very blessed that I have really enjoyed my my work. I've enjoyed whether I've worked for someone else or whether I've been on my own and had my own business. I've done all the things, and then going back and working with an organization and getting to serve as a CEO. So I feel like no matter where I was in my career, I have always tapped into my creativity. I've always been writing or podcasting or just kind of digging into stuff that I found interesting, that I was curious about. And I know that that has helped me become a better version of myself. And I know that that just helps me live a more fulfilling life. And so I see so many people that have these dreams in their heart of writing a book or gardening or learning piano or yoga or all these things that bring us so much joy, and yet we make so many excuses and as to why we don't do those things. And so in my book I lay out the 7 myths that stop us from pursuing our passions, and I go through each myth and really provide some support and helping people to overcome that myth so that they can reconnect with some of their creative pursuits.
I love that. And it's funny. My book has some parallels I can already tell with the Building Your Life, not just a portfolio, because we talk about that a lot. It's like it's not about your portfolio, it's about what do you believe is your best life, and more importantly than that, understanding why you think that's your best life. And you talk about all the reasons why we give for not doing what it is that we love. And with me, when I speak with people about their portfolios and building their best life using the tool we call money, it tends to come down to what your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, what they said your dream should be, as
Mm.
opposed to you really thinking through what is it that I really love to do, right?
Yeah. That's so that's so common, and it's so interesting because right before this call I was doing another interview. We were doing a podcast for the business. It's called Lead with Culture. And one of the things that came up was this video that Matthew Kelly had done, and he shared the 24 regrets of the dying. So he talks about people. He had had a conversation with some nurses that worked in hospice and was talking to those nurses and asking them, like, what are your biggest regrets? And one of the regrets was not living out their dreams, like living their life for someone else.
Right.
The another regret was not caring. I wish that I didn't care so much what other people thought. So many of us we care so much about those critics in our lives, and when we focus on that, then we're not actually moving forward because we're just kind of we're kind of doing we're almost living in this very passive way instead of a more intentional way because we're kind of looking over our shoulder like, "Ooh, if I do this, what is this person going to say? Or how is this person going to react?" Instead of doing the thing and just, living your own life. If you feel good about it and you feel like you are becoming the person that you know you can be, like when we really sit down and put that vision together of, hey, who do I want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and work towards those things.
And I love one. I'm going to pick up on one thing that you said, one word, which is intentionality. And it's hard to be intentional if you haven't really thought about what it is. And again, I always come back to why it is that you want to do it. Because what I tend to do is we talk about what somebody wants to do, say in retirement or even before retirement. Like, I want to buy a house, right? I want to travel to France. I want to do whatever it is that I want to live in a cabin in the middle of the woods and curl up with a book. It's amazing. Different people want to do different things. And then when I say, well, why is it that you want to do that? And I've literally had this conversation so I could speak to this. One of the people said, I just want to live in a cabin in the woods and curl up with a book. I said, well, why is that? And she's like, my life is so chaotic. I crave silence and alone time. And I said, well, okay, go a little bit different. Why is it that you feel this way? Well, it's because of the way my life is right now. And so what I encouraged her to do was, why don't you try a week or 2 weeks doing that? And to about a year later, she did that. And when she came back, I said, do you still want to do that for your retirement? She's like, no, she does not. So I always say, try it before you buy it, rent
Yep.
a little bit before you decide. But sometimes our dreams can be influenced by the here and now. And sometimes we need to talk with somebody, like I'm
Yes.
sure you do with your business, right? Talk to us a little bit about the business that you've built. You're the CEO, right?
Yes, but before we go there, I just want to
Okay.
say what I love about that example is it's so easy for us to live in extremes, right? It's
Yes.
like we feel if our life is a little chaotic and hectic at this very moment, we think that and look, I get it. I feel her because I have totally told friends, I just want to move to a small little town in North Carolina, work at a coffee shop and hang out, and that's what I'm going to do. And every one of my friends laughs. They're like, "You would last 3 days."
Yes.
And it's true because I don't really want to do that. So we sometimes feel like the solution is an extreme. Like even with my book, one of the reasons I wrote my book is because you don't have to quit your day job. You don't have to leave your entire life right now. You don't have to screw everything up in order to start learning how to play the piano or writing poetry or writing your book. It's like when going back to intentionality, when you know that you have some of these things that you want to do, you can start to then make space for some of that time. So to
Yeah.
that for that for your client, making space, okay, maybe every day, what can I do to gain a little more peace in my life? Okay, I can either start to meditate, go for a walk in the morning, like some kind of pocket of time. No matter how busy we are, there's always pockets of time that we can find throughout the day that we can use to do something that we love that's going to be energy enhancing Yet most of us, what do? We use that time to check our email, to go on social media, to do something that we feel I just need to do it because it's mindless. Okay, you need to do it. You need to go on social media because it's mindless and you think it's gonna like energize you. The next time you go on social media for however long, look at your energy and look at your like how you feel after. Do you feel more energized or less energized after you've spent 20 minutes scrolling?
Yeah.
Most people probably don't feel better. They probably feel less energized and they probably feel a little guilty because they're like, I kind of just wasted 20 minutes of my life.
Don't get that back, right?
No.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't get that. Sometimes you just need to turn your brain off, but maybe you turn your brain off and go for a walk.
Yes.
And
Like try something new. Like I love, okay, for the some people don't love books and that's fine, but I love books. I love journaling. Not everyone loves those things. But some people will say, I don't like it. Well, have you ever tried it? Have you ever tried journaling? Have you ever tried? And sometimes they have, and it's not for them, and that's fine. But a lot of people, for them, they haven't tried it. And it really is a very therapeutic way to gain that peace, to gain some clarity. And then books. I have books all over my house. I'm like addicted to books. Um, and will bring them around with me so that if I do have a moment, instead of, and look, I'm no better than anyone, right? I have my phone. I totally want to pick up my phone and go on social and check it out. But I just try to make some of the, instead of picking up the phone, pick up that book. Or I got these really cute little notebooks, these little tiny notebooks, and I
uh-huh.
keep them in my purse and I will jot down ideas. I'll write some things down. I'll start to notice things that I might not have noticed. And so, anyway, just certain things that you can do that are going to like help your mindset and then tracking how you feel after you do that activity. Like when we track how we feel after we are on social media versus when we're reading versus when we take a walk versus when we journal, just see how you feel. And you're going to find some activity that helps you. First, I have a friend of mine, he loves creating and drawing. So if he needs some time, he'll step away and he'll just go and he'll doodle on his notebook for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all he needs to just kind of
Reset.
re-energize.
Reset, re-energize.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned, like journaling, right? And certain things that you do, learning the piano, whatever it is. I think that sometimes for me, I suck so bad at the beginning that I'll just start and stop and start and stop, right? But like you put in your, I think your most recent newsletter, embrace the messy middle.
Yes.
You are probably gonna suck at whatever it is that you're trying to do at first. How do you think
Yep.
everybody gets better and gets good at anything, right? And so I liked what you said in your newsletter. What's the name of your newsletter? It's the Massive
Massive optimism.
Optimism. Yes. You can find that on LinkedIn, right? So people need to go check that out because it's really good. And I feel like sometimes we don't do things because we think we're not going to be good at it. First of all, nobody cares.
Yes. And that's why I feel like there are things that we do to get results and there are things that we do like one of the myths in the book, myth number 4 is you need a reason. We have turned into this culture and society where everything, what's the return on investment? What am I going to get out of it? If I'm going to start a podcast, how am I going to monetize it? What am I going to do? How's it going to help me get business? And that's all well and good. If that's the reason for the podcast, amazing. But like for me, I have two podcasts. One I do for the business. I'm very intentional about we want to use it in our sales funnels. We want to use it to gain clients. We want to use it to reach out to more people and talk to our clients on it. And then I have a whole other one called Create for No Reason. And it's literally just about practicing some type of creative pursuit for the pure joy of it. You love to garden. Maybe you suck at it, but you love it. You love getting your hands dirty, being in the dirt. Maybe you love jujitsu. Maybe you want to start a podcast and you have no idea how, and you don't have a good microphone and you don't know how to set it up or anything, but you're just going to start. And it's the doing. You have to love the doing. You have to love the process of it. And when we can fall in love with the process versus the outcome, then we're it's it is going to have a positive. In fact, in the book, I talk about ROI. Instead of ROI, I call it ROC. What's your ROC? Your return on creating. When you spend time creating, whatever it is for you, that impact, you're going to feel more energized. You're going to be more engaged. You're going to have better relationships. You're going to meet new people. Like there's so much of a return on creating that we don't think about. And so you don't need a reason to pursue something that you love to do. Like it should be what you love to. If your purpose of playing a piano is to like be a full-time pianist and get on stages and be in an or that's a whole other
It's
conversation.
a
But
whole
if you
different
just want
thing.
to do it because you love music and you want to learn it, well then you know what? Go through the messy middle and just love the fact that you suck at it for a while and you're just gonna grow and get better.
Embrace the suck, right? I tell people that all the time too with their investments, right? Because when you start, people get frustrated. Like, I only have X number of dollars. If I hear
Yep.
only one more time, I'm going to wring somebody's neck, because where do you think we all start? We all start with $10 a month, $25 a month, maybe 100. And then maybe at some point, you're looking at the Joneses over here who seem to have everything because they have a really nice car and a really nice house and they're probably in debt. But you look at that and you say, oh, or you look on social media, oh, they must have it all together. Pretty much nobody has it all together. I think we can see that when we see these celebrities go through these horrible breakups or unfortunately, suicide and things like that, right? It's like they seem like they have it all together, and we tend to believe it because we see it on social media. The truth is, everybody has to go through that messy middle. Everybody has to start somewhere. It's not too late. It's not too early. It's the right time for you. When's the best time to plant a tree? 30
20
years
years ago.
ago. Next best time right now.
Yeah.
Get started and build, and talk to somebody like you who's been through it, coaches people through it, and you'll get there faster. Or if it's you're trying to build your best life and you need the tool that we call money, which we're going to talk about here in just a second, right? Then talk to a financial advisor, somebody that that you trust, that's going to show you things that you probably haven't thought about, right? Because you're really good at being a teacher, an electrician, a plumber, a coach, whatever it is that you do. If you don't spend time like I do, I get up in the morning and I start, I do my morning update every morning. 5 minutes I throw out there to the world what's going on in the markets. I start my day at 6 a.m. thinking, living, eating, breathing the markets, the economy, the everything that's going on in the world. Most people think that's pretty nerdy. They don't think that's fun at all. I love it, right? So that's what I do. So talk to somebody who loves what they do, like yourself, building dreams and all of that. But let's talk about that because we were talking about that earlier, right? About sometimes it takes financial resources to do what it is your dream is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I'm the CEO of Floyd Coaching, and we have a program called the Dream Manager. And the it is a life coaching program for your people. So our philosophy is your organization can only be the best version of itself to the extent that your people are becoming better versions of themselves. And how do you do that? So the book that Matthew Kelly wrote called The Dream Manager, it's a fable about a janitorial company. They were having a lot of turnover issues. People were leaving. And as you can imagine, it's a janitorial company. It's not the most glamorous job in the world, right? People are not excited to go and clean offices at night. But they, when they implemented this program, the Dream Manager, which was really all about asking their team members, what are your dreams? Like, what are your dreams for your life? And they started discovering the dreams of their people. And by doing that, they re-engaged everyone. So people were engaged, they were more engaged at work because they became more engaged in their own lives because they started dreaming again. And the dreams that people have, it doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to go live on a beach and have a $25 million home. The dreams that people have are like getting fit, buying my first home, becoming financially free. That's on everyone's dream list
Everybody's
has
list.
financially free. That's just a standard on the list. But it's a lot of people, they want to have a better relationship with their spouse or significant other, or someone close to them in their life. And so we see it all over, right? We see people want to travel. That there's all of these dreams that people have. And in the book, Matthew shares the 12 categories of dreams. And we encourage everyone, to all of our dreamers, to create a list of 100 dreams. And so they're all different categories. You've got physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, psychological. You've got creative dreams. And so a lot of people are familiar. They have professional dreams and financial dreams and material dreams. But what about those other dreams? Like what are your creative dreams that you've given up? What are some of your legacy dreams? Your spiritual dreams. We work with a lot of people that they have kind of they want that, just like your client, they want peace. They want to feel close to, whatever, it doesn't matter about religion. It's just whatever their spirituality means to them. And so when people start to put these dreams on their list, one of the first things we do with them is we help them identify, okay, of these dreams that you put down, and not everyone gets to 100, and that's okay. The
Yeah,
purpose is to
it's a lot.
stretch your dream. It is. And part of it is it's to stretch your dream muscle, to get us dreaming again, because so often we've forgotten how to dream. And so then we say, okay, look at that list. What are the 1 to 2 dreams that if you could achieve in the next 12 months, it would dramatically impact your life? Like you would feel so much more fulfilled and inspired. And when you go through those dreams, many of those dreams, what do they have a price? There's a price tag attached to it, right?
That's right.
There's some kind of financial component, whether it's the financially free, you want to buy a home, you want to take a trip, you want to go on date nights, like you have to plan for all of that stuff. And so, one of the reasons why I always love talking to you, John, is because we get into these conversations because so many people are not intentional about their dreams and then their finances. You need to have both of those things. And that's why we're seeing so many people go into debt, right? Because they have the dreams and they're like, I'm just going to put on a credit card instead of, wait. Let's take a step back. Let's really figure this stuff out so that so that we know, hey, I'm going to have these dreams. And you know what? I might not be able to do this for another 2 years, but that's okay because I'm working towards it. I'm taking those steps every single day. And to have that level of discipline is remarkable because you'll use that in other areas of your life.
Yeah, once you practice like you said, the muscle of that dream muscle, once you practice that muscle of intentionality, and like you know Evan Carmichael, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
The YouTube guy.
the YouTube guy, yeah. So he stresses, getting, and boiling everything down from that 100 to one word. And I took that challenge several years ago, and consistency is my one word. And maybe your one word could be intentionality or something like that, right? It's just, you got to think about that. What is your one word that kind of embodies everything that you sort of believe and you go towards? But once you have the intentionality, then you apply consistency and maybe some discipline. Suddenly you begin, now it may take some time, but you begin to see the results and the progress. But if you never put that intentionality in place, or you have the intentionality, but then you don't have the discipline or consistency to keep going, then it doesn't work together, right? You got to do
Yeah.
all of those things consistently, and then you get there. And it's so much fun for me, right? And what I do, to see people making that progress. And we talk, once a quarter, or, and then at the end of the year, we have sort of that annual review and say, look how far you've come. And they're making progress. And is that still your goal? Why is that still your goal? Look how much closer you are now than you were back then. And that is so much fun for me, and it's fun for them too, right? And I'm sure you do almost exactly the same thing with your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I always find it interesting when people they you have to meet people where they are. And then when they create that vision for themselves and where the dreams that they really want to focus on, and then sometimes it's a dream that they've been talking about for years, like me with writing a book. I've talked about it for 10 years and I finally did it. Now, it did take me like a year and a half to actually to write
It
it,
is
but a year
fun.
and a half is nothing compared to, you know what I mean? It's like and that happens all the time with our clients is that they will put a dream on their list that they're so excited about and they're like this is a 12-month dream and sometimes they'll achieve it in 6 months. And sometimes it's a year, and sometimes it takes longer than a year. But it doesn't matter because they always say the same thing. They're so proud of themselves for putting in the work, and they recognize how different they are. They think differently, they work differently, they approach life differently. And I mean, those are skills that you will use forever. And that's I just think a lot of us we don't give ourselves enough credit. We kind of hold ourselves back from trying. You know, even to your point when people were talking about, oh, I only have. So you have this idea of I only have X, and if we go into it with that attitude, then what happens is if we don't do anything about it, 2 years go by, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and you're still like, I only have. Whereas time is going to go on no matter what. So
Mhm.
you might as well try to change the situation now so that 5 years
Yes,
from now, you're not saying
exactly.
I only have. You're saying, oh my gosh, it's only been 5 years and look where I was compared to where I am and what I have now. And I also think the reframe of no matter how small you have today or wherever you are in your life, switching it from I only have to look what I have, like to really sit in gratitude with where you are exactly today. Because I think there's a lot around the energy that you put towards money and your dreams, like to really give it that type of respect, like to respect money wherever you are, however much you have, wherever you're starting. That's great. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you for where I am.
Mhm.
And now this is where I want to grow.
Yes. And and see, this is where it's really hard to get your mind around if you've never done it before. Once you become intentional, once you become consistent, then there's one of two things happens. Like what you were just saying about one thing that can happen is you start to beat yourself up over every little thing. You know,
Yeah.
you fall down and you beat yourself up. Oh no, oh no, and you get into this negative mindset. And that can hurt you, and you forget to celebrate your wins, and that's super important to look back. Hey, I couldn't walk yesterday, now I can walk. I just did this post because my grandson turned 2, and we had his birthday party, and we were just talking about it. It's just amazing, these little guys, right? They couldn't even walk a year ago. Now they're walking, they're talking, they're running, right? And getting into everything. It's like maybe it doesn't happen quite that fast as we get older, but sometimes it does if you're intentional, disciplined, consistent, and you're executing. You don't just make the plans, but you also execute on those plans. It's pretty amazing. You can make almost that same type of 2-year-old progress if you just do it. But so many of us,
Yeah.
because I don't know what happens when we become adults, but we forget how we learn to walk, how we learn to
I
talk. We
know.
did it pretty quick, right?
I know. Well, it's, we also just, we get so used to instant gratification because we have everything, right? Like
Right.
we can go on Amazon right now and have something at our doorstep in 3 seconds. And so we just like became so used to that we don't want to we don't it just becomes so much easier. But it's funny because I I feel like one of the myths that I share in the book is myth number 7, inspiration will strike. And I feel like so many of us stay stuck and stagnant because we're fearful to move forward. And we kind of make an excuse of, well, I'm waiting for my inspiration. I'm going to feel like it. Tomorrow, I'm going to feel like
Do it
practicing.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'm going to feel like writing. Tomorrow, I'm going to feel like calling John and actually make a plan for my financial future. That's what we do. And we feel good. Like it's a good excuse. Like we're like, yeah, I'm convinced. Like this is a good excuse I just made. And it's totally understandable. And many people in your life would be like, yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go to dinner. It's like if you don't have someone holding you accountable. So inspiration, like, no, it doesn't strike. That is a myth. Inspiration only comes when we start, when we do the work. And I've talked to anyone I've talked to, especially that does creative work like writing or podcasting or, whatever it is. If you don't feel like writing, I don't always feel like writing. And sometimes I will say, I'll just do it later. I'm not going to do it later. I have to sit down and write. And so when you sit down and you start writing and the words start flowing and you're like, ooh, this is an idea and maybe I'm going to go here and then, and all of a sudden you have so much inspiration. You're so much more motivated than when you sat down. And so we have to inspire ourselves. And we do this in our work, right? We procrastinate all the time. We put off something, oh, I have to write this report. I'm going to put it off. And then the second that you actually sit down and start doing it, it probably takes less time than you thought it would. And you're like, oh, I'm happy that I got it done and something good came out of it. Not saying you're always going to love the work that you're doing, but a lot of times you do. You're like, oh, this is cool. This is great.
Yep.
So we have to put those kinds of processes in our life to get stuff done. Like writer, I know I talk a lot about writers only because I love studying authors and writers and their writing process. I just love hearing about people's creative process. And so writers will talk about how they don't want to, sometimes they don't feel like writing, but they write every single day. Some of them at the same time, some of them write a certain number of words, some of them do a certain number of hours or whatever it is, but they do it every day. And so they're not waiting for inspiration. They sit down and they write. And you know what? It doesn't matter if what comes out is unusable and not great and it's never gonna see the light of day. That's not what matters. What matters is that they sat down and did the work.
Right. And a tack that I have, and it's as old fashioned as you can possibly get. And it is, if you can see this, it's hourglass. When I don't feel like writing or I don't feel like doing something, but I know that if I don't start, it's not just going to happen on its own. I flip that thing over and said, this next 30 minutes until this thing runs out, I'm just going to do it. And inevitably, once you put that kind of focus into it, it's like pushing something heavy, right? It's hard to get it started, but once it gets started, it's the physics principle, right? An object
Yeah.
in motion tends to stay in motion, right? So that's just what you have to do, what you need to do. And sometimes you need a coach. You need somebody to help you get there. A matter of fact, I'd say most of the time, if you're going to be successful at something, you look at the most successful people on the planet, almost all of them had some sort of coach, maybe even all of them had some
Yeah.
sort of coach along the way. You look at the most successful baseball, basketball, football, rugby, soccer, whatever. Those players all had a coach. They probably had several coaches and
Yep.
trainers. And so talking with somebody like yourself or a financial planner, something like that to get you going and get you going faster in the right direction can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, coaches are great. I mean, a lot of athletes, they have coaches in all the different disciplines, right? They have a personal trainer and then they have someone that helps them with their actual practice of it and then they have a mindset coach. Like they have all the different areas to help them excel and become their best. And one of the things that's so powerful is accountability, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's especially for a lot of solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, if you're not forced to get up and do something, or if someone's not holding you accountable to doing the work, it's way too easy to let ourselves off the hook.
Yeah.
Hey, I said I'm going to do this my to-do list all day long, but you know what? I'm going to go to the beach instead. Or I'm going to go,
I'm gonna go on
whatever it
social
is.
media instead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on social media just for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, 3 hours go by. And if you don't have someone holding you accountable, and most people just can't hold themselves accountable. When I started writing my book, because I had tried writing, John, I have so like a lot of people, I have so many books in my computer, like so many book ideas and half written books and half
Yeah.
ideas and all the things. And when I finally decided I'm finally going to write this book, I invested in a coach. I was like, I'm going to invest in a writing coach because
I
I
did
don't
the
want to
same
just write a
thing.
book. I want to write a great book that people will read and enjoy and get something out of. And I knew that I knew that having a coach was not only going to help me be a better writer, but they were also going to help hold me accountable to do the work. And I'll tell you what, when you're paying someone, you do the work. I was paying her, and I every time she gave me notes, she was like, "You are one of my fastest clients to work with," because she gave me notes, and every week I met with her every week until I was done because hey, I'm investing.
That's
I'm
right.
investing.
It's
And
your money.
yeah,
Yeah, you worked hard for that money. You just spend it on something you're probably gonna execute on what
yeah,
they tell you to execute. Right.
exactly. So sometimes that's what we have to do. And so yeah, whatever type of coach it is, dream managers are an incredible coach. Are they help with all areas of life. It really is a life coaching program. The difference between Dream Manager and any other life coaching program is because Matthew Kelly created a curriculum. So a lot of life coaches, and this is fine, it's just a different way of doing it. A lot of them will just kind of come to a session. How's it going, John? Tell me what you're doing. What are you working on? We have curriculum that goes through all different areas, your spiritual, mental, physical, professional, it's time and energy, it's the genius of your personality, it's all these different areas. And we also have you reading a book alongside of it. So you're being fed new information because if we're not being fed new information, we can't grow. So you're being fed new information, you're having conversations with your coach, and all the while, the overarching theme is when you meet with them, okay, what did you do that you said you were going to do last week to move your dream forward? So we're always starting with the dream and then focusing on a specific area of your life and then having conversations around that. So it's a really remarkable program. It changes lives, it changes businesses, and I just feel so blessed that I get to lead a team to do this.
That's awesome. Well, I want you to tell people now how best to get in touch with you. And we're also going to put it down in the show notes. So if you don't catch it, that's fine. Just go down below and you'll be able to click on a link and get in touch with Kate. Definitely connect with her on LinkedIn and then subscribe to her newsletter, get her book. And how's the best way to get in touch with you?
So, like so many of us, I feel like there's so many places, but I would direct people if you are interested in learning about the Dream Manager specifically, go to thedreammanager.com. And if you're interested in just connecting with me, I would love to have a conversation with you about anything we talked about on this call. So, just I would say connect with me over on LinkedIn and we can have a conversation over there.
All right. And everyone who is somebody who normally tunes into the Building Your Life podcast, you know how to get in touch with me, guardianrockwealth.com, or you can text the word life if you grab that cell phone, 321-421-5213, the word life. You're going to get all kinds of free information. I don't charge for any of that stuff. And you can get in touch with me all sorts of ways, like you were saying, Kate. So we'd love to chat with you. We kind of live to help people get to their next stage, whether it's from a financial perspective to help you build your best life, or just getting started, discovering what your dream is, and then pursuing it, being held accountable, and getting that intentionality going. So, Kate, thanks so much for doing this today. I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me. It's always fun. It's always fun. Our chats are always fun. So I'm happy we got to do it for
I
your listeners.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. It's about time we actually got on a podcast and shared it with everybody else. So thanks so much. All right, well, everybody, we'll see you next time on the Building Your Life podcast.